This is a Pauper video. I am playing Pauper at my local game store. It's a tournament setting, and we're playing Mono Blue Terror, which is a deck all about controlling the top of your deck, flipping delvers, and putting down huge snakes to win the game as fast as possible. We're up against some opponent. We don't know what they're playing, and I'm not very good at Pauper, so I'm interested in finding out. Let's see. My opponent plays a Kalani Gardens, which gives me a 0/1 token, and also surprises me by playing green. I thought that was forbidden in Magic nowadays. I play an island and do nothing. They play an Echo Wellspring, which draws a card when it enters and leaves, and I respond with a mental note, putting 2 cards into my graveyard and 1 card into my hand. This is to build up so I can play something later. I hold 2 blue mana open. If you've played Magic, you know what that means. So does my opponent. He plays another land that gives him a 0/1 token, lots of little blockers. I don't do the thing you expected, because my opponent didn't play a spell, so I continue to mill myself and draw cards. Then I count how many spells are in my graveyard, and I do it again. I play another mental note. This is 3 mental notes in a row, by the way, putting even more spells into my graveyard. Now, this might seem weird, but it's a really good start for the Terror deck. I count how many spells I have in my graveyard, and it's more than plenty, and I play a Tolarian Terror. It's 1 cheaper for every instant sorcery in my graveyard, and it's a 5/5 with Ward 2. My opponent takes their turn. They're under a lot of pressure now, and they play a Malevolent Rumble. This allows them to look at the top 4 cards of their library, pick 1 permanent to put into their hand, the rest I think goes into the graveyard. Now, they have a card called Careful Cultivation. This is an important card. Remember it. I had to read it. They also create 1 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn token, which can sacrifice to add 1 colorless to their mana pool. Then they play Shambling Ghast, which is a 1/1 zombie. When it dies, it can either create a treasure or give -1/-1. I play Thought Scour, which is a mental note that targets. I target myself, filling my graveyard up. Then it's my turn, and I attack with Tolarian Terror, 5/5 coming in. It's blocked by the zombie, which dies and gives them a treasure. Well, that wasn't great. Then we play Cryptic Serpent, 6/5, gets cheaper for every spell. It's a Tolarian Terror without ward. We pass the turn, they play Duress. Finally I reveal that counterspell that's been sitting in my hand all game, because I don't want to discard any cards. You don't get my cards. I want to keep... Oh, that's Mesmeric Fiend. It takes a card out of my hand when it enters. I get it back when I kill it. They take my Deep Analysis, leaving me with just a Brainstorm. It's my turn, and I have 11 power just wanting to attack. However, my opponent has some plans, so my serpents just eat some plants. But between all those cards I milled is a Deep Analysis. It has Flashback for 2 and allows me to draw 2 cards. Then I play Delver of Secrets. It's just a 1/1 for 1 blue. Not too bad. Not too great. I pass the turn. What's this? My opponent channels their Careful Cultivation. It costs 2 mana and discards it from their hand to create a 1/1 that taps and adds 1 green to the mana pool. My opponent now plays another Duress, which is really awkward because I have 3 islands and 2 Brainstorms. Normally Brainstorm is really good in this situation because it can put cards from my hand on top of my library so they can't be discarded. But I had nothing to put up there, except land. Now my opponent plays the card that gives name to the deck, Pili. We're gonna learn why in a minute, because they are going to play another card. It is the Careful Cultivation. Now these 2 cards together are really interesting. Pili has a weird ability. You can pay 2 mana and untap it. It has to be tapped to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. If you combine this with Careful Cultivation, you can make infinite mana. Careful Cultivation is an enchantment that says enchanted creature gets +1/+3, has reach at tap, add 2 green to your mana pool. This lets Pili tap to add 2 green, then spend that green mana, untapping it to add 1 mana. This is a loop that nets you 1 mana. You can do this over and over and over and have as much mana as you like. Stop! Okay, So none of this matters because the Pili has summoning sickness, but next turn my opponent has infinite mana. Now I get to cast Brainstorm. What an amazing spell. 1 blue, draw 3, put any 2 cards from your hand back on top. This can protect your spells from duress. It can make sure the cards you mill are spells so your Tolarian Terror gets cheaper, and it can make sure your Delver flips. Okay. Then we get to cast Ponder. This is ridiculous. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order, you may shuffle, draw a card. This is such good card selection. So, we do have to play this Boomerang before this Pili gets to make infinite mana next turn. I don't know if you noticed, but we did flip our Delver into a 3/2 flyer by revealing that Ponder from the top. It was there because of the Brainstorm. And now we attack for 14. They block 6 damage with their plant, taking 8 going to 12. That's a lot of damage, and both my Serpents and my Delver are still threatening. So what will my opponent do? They tap 2 mana to play a Fanatical Offering. This instant lets them sacrifice an artifact or a creature to draw 2 cards. They have to find an answer for all these giant snakes attacking them. It also creates a map token. Meanwhile, I played a Thought Scour, milling myself 2 and drawing a card to find something to attack with. My opponent recast the Pili. It's also a 1/1 flyer, so it can block the Delver if it needs to. But it's also that machine for infinite mana, so I don't think they will. They play another garden, creating another plant token, and here we see them counting out how the blocks are gonna work next turn. They decide that they can tap the little token for mana and use the map on their Pili. They find a land on top and draw that land, so they don't get a +1/+1 counter. And it's my turn, and all the snakes and the Delver are coming in again. My opponent blocks with a plant and takes another 8, going down to 4. I play a Lorien Reveal, drawing 3 cards, refilling my hand. My opponent is staring down so many snakes, I would not want to be in their place right now. I cast another Delver, applying even more pressure. If this flips, then trouble. Now my opponent plays another Mesmeric Fiend to steal a card from my hand. And they see it's full of good stuff. They have to take the Boomerang here, because otherwise they would lose a blocker. It's my turn, and they're staring down so much power. I look at the top card of my library to flip my Delver. I don't want to show it because it doesn't flip my Delver, but my opponent says he doesn't even want to see it, so I show it to him. It was a dumb thing to do. I play another Lorien Reveal, drawing 3 cards, and I get in with the snakes and an unflipped Delver. Now the unflipped Delver is even important. If that deals 1 damage, my flying creature can kill them, dealing 3 damage next turn. They block my 1/1 Delver, they block my 6/5 snake. They just have to find out with what, and they block my flying Delver. Then they tap a mana to play Tamiyo's Safekeeping. Okay, let's take a look what's going on. My opponent has 4 health left, and my Tolarian Terror is about to hit them for 5. This would win me the game. However, they play Tamiyo's Safekeeping on their Pili, making it indestructible so it won't die, but even more importantly, gaining them 2 life, so they would end at 1. However, I have a Boomerang. If I cast Boomerang on the Pili, the Tamiyo Safekeeping won't have a target, and they won't gain any life from it. Plong. However, Tamiyo's Safekeeping have a second line of text, granting hexproof, and they have another one that they cast, making a stack where the Tamiyo Safekeeping resolves first, negating my Boomerang, and gaining my opponent 4 life in total, putting them at 3, surviving the turn. My opponent has bought themselves another turn. That was really close. However, they lose their 1/1, so do I, and they also lose 1 Mesmeric Fiend, giving me my deep analysis back. They choose to keep my Boomerang, because that is a piece of interaction I could use to potentially win the game next turn. Now, it's pretty close and hard for my opponent to come back here, because I have lethal on board. They need to either block or find something to win the game with now. They do find an Inviscerator's Insight and sacrifice a creature to draw 2 cards. However, I get my Boomerang back, so whatever they draw, it has to be good, and it is Nothing. It is scoop time, and I get the first win. Yes, let's go. Before we move on, I want to talk about why Brainstorm is so good in this deck. The first case is, if we play a Delver on turn 1, Delver says, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may reveal the top card of your library. If it's an instant or sorcery, this creature becomes a 3/2 flyer. If we play Brainstorm in our upkeep, we can draw 3 cards and put a spell on top of our deck, making sure the Delver becomes a 3/2 flyer. Brainstorm can draw us 3 cards, we can put 2 spells back on top, then mill them with Mental Note, making our snakes cheaper, and if we're really good, we make sure to mill Deep Analysis so we can flashback it from the graveyard. Lastly, if our opponent plays Duress on us and we have good spells in hand, we can play the Brainstorm, put those spells on top of our decks, and hopefully show a handful of either flashback cards, creatures, or lands. Brainstorm is so versatile, there's a lot more to get into, but I want to get back to the matches. My opponent starts out with a garden, making a plant again. I play an island and pass the turn. My opponent plays a swarm and passes the turn. And then I Mental Note myself, blindly milling 2 cards into my graveyard. I'm sorry you can't see my graveyard this time, I will practice my setup. My opponent played an Eviscerator's Insight, sacrificing the plant to draw 2 cards. It's my second turn, I play another island, and I pass the turn. My opponent plays a Duress now, targeting me. The funny thing about Duress is, it can put another spell in my graveyard to make my snakes cheaper, so if I play this Mental Note, mill myself 2 blindly, and another Thought Scour as well, I might just get enough spells for my snake to become really cheap. I show my opponent my hand, and they have to look through, find what's best. This is Steel Sabotage. It's a sideboard card. It can either counter an artifact spell or return an artifact to its owner's hand. After the Duress, they play a Malevolent Rumble, find a card they want into their hand, and make a little token guy. They find half their combo, threatening me with infinite mana very soon. On my turn, I play another Mental Note, milling myself some more spells. Also, Mental Note is a spell in of itself, so it also helps make my snakes cheaper. And we all know what comes next. It's the big snake! It's Tolarian Terror! Now, this is a good clock to put on my opponent. I'm just worried they'll get infinite mana very soon. Maybe I can find a counterspell to stop them. However, they play a Duress again, trying to remove all my interaction from my hand. I show them a hand of draw spells. They have to pick between Lauren Revealed or Deep Analysis. They do end up picking Deep Analysis, but that has flashback for just 2 mana from my graveyard, so I'm happy about it. Now here's why they took my Steel Sabotage. It's because they want to play this Pili Pala, and without the Steel Sabotage, I can't counter it, and I can't return it to their hand. If they have a Careful Cultivation in their hand, they could have infinite mana next turn. Not that I know what they'll use it for, actually. Anyway, I flashback the Deep Analysis, costing me 3 life, and draw 2 cards, hoping to find a counterspell. I attack them for 5, they take it, and it's their turn. I feel like they have the Careful Cultivation in hand, but maybe I can find... Oh, that's another Duress. Maybe I should have played my Brainstorm here, finding a counterspell to put on the top so I could draw it for my next turn. But that was not the best play I have done, sadly. And they follow it up with the Careful Cultivation. They now have infinite mana. They can do anything. What will they do with it? Well, first, they want to draw some cards with a Fanatical Offering, creating a map token. I still don't know what their win condition is. Maybe they didn't draw it at all. Oh, that's a Bloodrite Invoker. It's a 3/1 for 3 mana, and it has an activated ability to deal 3 damage for 8 mana. So with infinite mana, well, they can do infinite damage. Okay, ow. Now, I didn't keep track of the hands, so they haven't been shown here. I would like to do that in the future. But I do remember this one. I had a turn 1 Delver, but I only had 1 island in my hand. So my problem here was I both wanted to flip the Delver and get an island. How can I do that? Lorien Revealed. It cycles for an island and it's a spell. So I find my land and I flip my Delver. And I get to play a second Delver. This is a lot of damage. But how will I get a 3rd island and flip this Delver? Well, I had another Lorien revealed on top of my deck. Now, I know my opponent played a garden and made a token and played a wellspring, but I just want to focus on how lucky I got this game. My hand wasn't too bad because I had a lot of useful spells to find the other lands otherwise. But look at this, swinging in for 6 already. This is going fast now. I don't think my opponent has the time to find their combo. We even joked a bit about how will I survive this? And the secret is, you don't. Well, they play a Fanatical Offering, drawing 3 cards just to see what happens. But you know what? I had a Dispel. It counters target instant. They still draw 1 card off of the Ica Wellspring, but this is looking really grim for them. They need to block these Delvers or stop them. This duress is fine. It can take something out of my hand. It takes my Deal Sabotage. At 5 health, they need some way to survive this next turn and then find their combo and win. Because my Delvers are swinging for 6 damage. They play an Ica Wellspring, trying to find a card off the top of their deck, and then deal with the Delvers or have the combo. They do have a Tamiyo Safekeeping to gain 2 life and survive, but I have a Boomerang to deny the life gain, because it has to target a creature. And that's it. Good game. I hope you enjoyed.